It feels like everyone today has this tiny PR manager living in their head.
Oh, for sure.
Like the second someone questions your motives or even just, I don't know, misunderstands a text, that internal alarm goes off. You draft the clap back, you pull the receipt.
So you go into full instant crisis management mode.
Exactly. But what if the ultimate power move is to just, fire the PR manager?
That is a wild thought.
Right. Welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at an excerpt from a document titled Talking About Jesus.pdf, and our mission today is to unpack its honestly incredibly counterintuitive advice on managing your reputation.
Yeah, it really gets into handling conflict and finding freedom from that exhausting pressure to constantly justify yourself to everyone.
So what's the core premise here?
Well, the core idea is it's so liberating. It argues that your worth actually doesn't depend on being completely understood by everyone else.
Which is tough because we treat our reputations like they need 24/7 armed guards.
We really do. But when you step back, the text points out that human judgment is almost always incomplete anyway. Like, most of these misunderstandings resolve themselves naturally over time.
If we just resist the urge to jump in.
Right. We don't try to control the narrative immediately.
It's that contrast between the modern reflex to argue and what the source calls a quiet strength. Because, when our pride is wounded, the instinct is to fight back.
Oh, 100%.
But letting that pause breathe, choosing patience instead of reaction is tough. Though, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
If you just fire your PR manager and never defend yourself, doesn't that just invite people to walk all over you? Like you just become a doormat.
Well, that's a crucial distinction, and the document actually explicitly rejects the doormat idea entirely.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. It states that walking with Christ holds both surrender and integrity together. So silence isn't always wisdom.
Gotcha. So there's a limit.
Definitely. If staying quiet would actively harm someone else or allow a dangerous wrong to go unchecked, you absolutely must speak the truth. It's not about abandoning discernment.
Okay, so it's about knowing the difference between defending your fragile ego and defending actual truth.
Right. Which brings up an interesting fork in the road in the text.
Yeah.
How does it advise responding when your PR crisis is real? Like when you are actually in the wrong versus when you're being totally falsely accused?
Oh, yeah. Think about the mental architecture required to defend a lie, or even just a mistake. It is exhausting.
It really is. And the philosophy here is if you're wrong, don't build defenses to excuse your sin. Honesty brings healing.
Because admitting fault removes the opponent's leverage.
Exactly. You drop the rope.
Yeah.
The source frames divine correction not as destruction, but as restoration.
So truth becomes the path back to grace.
Yeah.
But here is where it gets really difficult.
Right.
What if you're completely innocent? Letting someone misrepresent you goes against, well, every fiber of human nature.
It does. But the idea here is that if you're falsely accused, you entrust your reputation to God.
Because God sees the hidden thing.
Right, and weighs motives.
Yeah.
Because of that ultimate accountability, you don't have to force your own vindication or, manipulate the outcome.
It's easy to say we should just let God handle our reputation, but when your ego is screaming at you to fight back, how do you actually execute that? Who has ever successfully pulled that off?
Well, the blueprint this document points to is Jesus. It specifically describes him as the Lamb of God.
Okay.
Now, we often hear theological phrases stating his silent submission at the cross was sovereign obedience or victory closed in humility.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
It means that surrendering the need to be right in the eyes of your accusers isn't weakness. It's an act of immense personal power and emotional control. He didn't run a PR campaign to save his image.
Wow. He completely opted out of the PR game. And that redefines love in this context.
It really does. Synthesizing this, love doesn't mean erasing your voice or approving of evil. It means choosing patience, surrendering vengeance, and extending mercy. You trust that ultimate justice is handled elsewhere.
Which brings us right back to your opening thought. Doing this allows you to, as it beautifully puts it, walk lightly in a heavy world.
Yes, you are not ultimately sustained by your reputation.
You can anchor yourself in grace instead of your image. So, for everyone listening, we'll leave you with this to chew on. If you completely gave up the need to manage how everyone else perceives your actions, if you finally fired that internal PR manager, what would you suddenly have the mental energy to focus on today?